Last year, I successfully pivoted from consulting to investment banking, and I only had 4 weeks to prepare for the most feared part of recruiting, which are the technical interviews. Today, I'll show you the exact playbook I used to get an offer from a top bank. I'll leave the links to all the resources I talk about in the description, but now, let's dive in. My finance foundation was solid, but pretty rusty. So I built a focused study system around two resources: the 400 questions and the Wall Street Prep Redbook. I think with these two resources, you'll be more than covered. I will also mention some additional resources at the end if you want to go further. The main questions you will get asked could be summarized in a few technical topics. They are, of course, accounting, questions about enterprise value and equity values. You'll also get valuation questions. You'll get discounted cash flow questions or DCF questions. And lastly, you might also get questions about merger models or LBOs, depending on the bank and the position you're interviewing for. In my opinion, the guy that best prepared me was the 400 questions, so let's start with that one. The 400 questions is quite literally a guide with 400 potential questions you can get asked in an interview. It is very likely that 90% of the questions you get will be a variation of the questions in this guide. So I definitely recommend studying from it. The best part about the guide is that it's completely free. All you have to do is put your name and email on the website, click on the confirmation email, and you will get an email with the complete guide. The guide is broken down by the topics mentioned before. As you can see, they are separated by basic and advanced questions if you have the old guide, or if you have the new guide, it's separated by concepts and calculations. It also includes behavioral questions, brain teasers, and industry-specific questions if you want to target a specific industry. If you have the old guide, I would say the basics you 100% have to know for every single bank. The advanced are important if you want to target an elite boutique because they focus more on the technical side during the interviews. With the newer guide, I would just go over everything. Here's how I would do it. I'll read through the guide 3 times. The first time, just go read over the technical questions and try to understand them. I literally just did a section a day and read, highlighted, and took notes on all the questions. Don't worry if you feel lost or if you don't fully get all the concepts at once. You will be going back through the guide later on. After you've done the first read through, go over it a second time. However, this time, mark down the ones you're having trouble with. I would then create flashcards by section. I would write one question on one side of the flashcard and the answer on the back. Make sure you actually get what you're writing on the flashcard and put it in your own words. Don't just copy the answer they give you. You have no idea how much this helps. After you have your flashcards ready, you can go through the guide again if you want, but I would just hammer the flashcards. Here you can do it whenever you have some free time and wherever. And you can jump around from section to section to make sure you actually understand the concepts. Here's a quick calendar I made that you could follow to master the 400 questions in less than a month. I would say that this is definitely a marathon, not a sprint. So start with plenty of time. Try to break it up by section because it'll make your learning a lot better. And again, it's way better to stay consistent than to try to cram everything the day before the interview. You'll feel a lot more confident if you do it this way. After doing the 3 steps for the 400 questions, I would say you are already very prepared for the technical questions. Obviously, it depends on the bank you want to target. There are some banks that are less technical, and for those banks, I would say you're pretty much done with the technicals. However, if you want a bank that is known for being more technical, then in my opinion, I would go on to the Wall Street Prep Redbook. The Redbook is very similar to the 400 questions. There are many questions that overlap, but also some new questions. Even then, I would say that for the repeated questions, it has different and longer explanations, as you can see here. So it might make more sense to you if you've never seen finance or accounting before, or if you just want to get a concept better. They have a lot of nice graphics and tables and do a really good job at explaining every single question. I see this Redbook as getting additional reps in the gym. If you're able to go through it, you will be in great shape, but it's definitely not necessary. I also don't mention this one first because it is very long, way longer than the 400 questions, and I wouldn't say it's as time efficient. Also, it is $99, so just get it if you want the extra practice. I would probably follow a similar structure where I would make flashcards on the hard questions that I don't get from the Redbook, and that way you add to your flashcard collection. If you do all the things I've mentioned up to this part of the video, I would say you're 100% good to go and to move on to focus on the behavioral side side. But if you're an overachiever and you want to do some more practice, I'll talk about a couple additional materials that I've also heard about that work. So first, I can't have an investment banking video without mentioning Wall Street Oasis. They have some good interview guides. They do sell for $197, so it's more on the expensive side. So that's why I don't really recommend them. I never use them, so I can't say how good they are. I would honestly just do this if you've never had an accounting or finance class and want to learn more. Another good website to practice is Overlevered. Overlevered is a website with questions from previous interviews at different banks. For example, if you're interviewing at Lazard, you could filter for previous Lazard questions, and you can practice with questions that other interviewees have gotten before. I used it briefly and thought it was good because it had questions that I had never seen before, but I will say it is not very expansive. For the bank I was preparing for, it only had like 18 questions. They were 18 questions that I had never seen before, but I wouldn't say it made a huge difference, and it is also $29 a month. So only do this if you have extra cash lying around. And then lastly, to wrap the video up, I'll give some final tips. First, make sure you do mock interviews with your friends. I did it with my sister, and even though she doesn't know anything about finance, it did help me put my thoughts together and practice actually vocalizing what I was thinking. Second, slow and steady wins the race. Don't try to cram everything. It's not gonna work. Break it down into smaller pieces. Stay consistent. And lastly, I think this is the most important one. Don't just memorize the answers from the guide, but actually understand the concept. Whenever you're testing yourself, switch up the questions, switch up the numbers, look up YouTube videos that explain the concept to make sure you get it. Banks know kids are just memorizing the guides, and they know everyone has the guide. So they will try to test you and ask follow-up questions. Just to wrap it up, I will say that if I was able to do it, so can you. I think it's just a matter of putting the time in to study these things. I hope this video helped. Hit the like button so more people can find the video. If you want me to make a video on the behavioral side of the interview or any technical question in particular, let me know in the comments. I wish you a lot of luck in your interview, and we post videos every Wednesday, so I hope you subscribe and come back next week. Peace.